You're listening to
Wrestling to the Max.
Alert. Clear all channels.
This is an exclusive.
How you like that?
And your host, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Thieser.
King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Hello and welcome to another W2M EXTRA, where we are talking about night 2 and 3 of New Japan's G1 Climax 26. Yeah, we're a little behind, but hey, sometimes life gets in the way of wrestling awesomeness, right, Paul?
Yeah, working full time and, you being a dad and all the other extra stuff we do outside of, the stuff that we bring you every week consistently. Things happen.
Yeah, we'll try to get caught up tomorrow with nights 4 and 5, and then thankfully we'll get a little break. It's been 4 days in a row of G1 after they had that big break.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we're basketball players here, Sean. We got so much going on, and we're playing back to back to back to backs, and bodies aren't made for this.
No. So we're only going to be talking about the G1 matches for these, so that we can get caught up a little faster. So there won't be any undercards on this, like you might have heard on night 1. But of course, since we're a little bit behind, you probably do not care about the undercard stuff at this point. So, going into night 2, which is the first night of B block matches, you had Katsuhiko Nakajima from Pro Wrestling Noah and Toru Yano, of course, the one half of the GHC Tag Team Champions, going at it. And you kind of had a Yano special here. Yano did some fun stuff with his t-shirt, including almost making Nakajima get counted out because he tied his hands up with his t-shirt, which was kind of funny. Nakajima would eventually beat him. This is the one where I thought Yano would win to kind of get him the first big surprise win, and he didn't.
I think this is actually one of the few I got right on this night, because Gedo, I'm assuming, looks at all those pick'ems over at Voices of Wrestling and decides to do the opposite of the majority. So, hats off to Gedo for hating us, really. But, really, the Toru Yano special fits here. The shirt tying pissed Nakajima off, so he goes in the ring and does what he does best, and that's kick the bejesus out of Yano, and he does so and gets his first 2 points.
Yes, he does, and so, Pro Wrestling Noah keeps looking good, at least for the time being. Yano goes down. And then you have a match that we kind of thought, okay, Kenny Omega, he's going to be looking strong in this tournament. He's got to beat that Yoshihashi, who could be fulfilling that Hanma role this year of getting the crowd behind him, but maybe he doesn't win too much. Well, what do you know? Yoshihashi, Kenny Omega going on, and Yoshihashi wins in his first G1 match. And I thought this did a really good job of setting Yoshihashi up as now, maybe you got to take him seriously.
Yeah, I was not expecting this at all. These guys went out there, put on one hell of an effort. Omega even goes so far as to bury Yoshihashi under the floor mats and then does a double stomp on him from the apron, which is just, one, it looked pretty cool, and two, it's something you'd never really see in New Japan. You don't really see a lot of mat work and stuff like that, or I should say, people tying them up in the mats on the outside. So that was kind of cool, and Omega was really doing his damnedest to get people invested, and it worked. And people are so into Yoshihashi right now that it's just a perfect storm of goodness. And I might as well just throw my bracket out the window now, Sean. It's all fucked up.
Yeah, this night I think I went 0-5. So I went from going 4-1 on the first night to 0-5 on the second night. Yeah, just I think we're all screwed as far as that goes. I think what was cool about this is that not only was it for Yoshihashi to kind of, you gotta remember that upsets happen, and any match could be a match where the other guy wins, even if you're not expecting it. And you get that here, and you also, Yoshihashi had several. He had counters of the One Wing Angel multiple times. The one with where he countered into the DDT really woke the crowd up and got him into finally sort of believing that, because they had kind of been tempered a little bit. There was a little bit of Yoshihashi chant here and there, but there wasn't ever this big explosion that you sort of get when the crowd's really starting to get into it in these G1 matches. You finally got it on that, and then it sort of just went on its own thing from there, and Yoshihashi really kind of took it to a, well, both him and Omega kind of took it to a different level with the nice homages to Nakamura too.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. You had well, Omega's been doing the Bomaye for a while,
Hmm.
and then you had Yoshihashi did the sliding Bomaye, so it was cool. They got to point out on commentary and everything, and you know, Nakamura did tell Geto to give Yoshihashi a shot. So maybe you think this leads to Yoshihashi having a better tournament than we expected then, or is this just one of those, we're doing an upset because we're doing an upset?
I had him coming out of this G1 the same way that they've had Hama do it. He gets a big win near the end, and oh my god, Yoshihashi looks like he might be on the precipice of doing something, and they flip that on its head, and they have him go over Omega, who is well established, I think, at this point. And, it's so hard to tell. These first two nights, looking at them in hindsight now, it really does feel like these first two nights were upsets, not only for the sake of upsets, but to sort of shake up the status quo. You have these guys you're not expecting to do very well, doing very well, like a Yoshihashi and like two other spots that we'll talk about later here, or three others really, because the rest of this is just upset city.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard to tell with Yoshihashi, but that's the thing. Like even that butterfly lock that he put in, because he tapped out Sonata with it. You had to believe you could tap out Omega with it. So everything was done well in the build-up. So moving from there, you had a Chaos and Bullet Club match. This time you have a Michael Elgin, your IWGP Intercontinental Champion, against the Los Ingobernables Heavy Man, Evil, and as you know, Larry likes to term it the Hoss match of the night. These two just going out there and whooping each other. It's always good stuff.
Yeah, you know what you're gonna get. These guys go out there, they hit each other very, very hard. Uh, Elgin is just he's on fire. He's on such a big roll, I think, since winning that championship, even before then, but especially since he won the title off of Omega last month. And my God, him and Evil put on one heck of a show here. And Evil getting the upset here, I didn't see this coming at all. I thought they would have Elgin do fairly okay in the beginning and sort of lose it as he went on. And man, Evil comes out of nowhere and puts him away, and I'm just shocked.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised by this too. I think you sort of had them kind of going toe to toe for a little bit, and then that ending sequence was really good because it took like everything Evil had to just get Michael Elgin down to his knees
Hmm.
after he no-sold the German, and he no-sold the was it the he no-sold another big move that I think like the uppercuts and stuff like that, and you're like, my God, is Elgin gonna go down at all? And then Evil finally hits his STO and he wins. But man, these Elgin just so great in New Japan. The crowd was a little bit. I couldn't. They weren't as heavy in this match as I think they were in the previous two, but they were still sort of into it. And you had some good stuff here. So now you got Evil established with points. And again, you got to take. anything expecting out of Evil here that maybe?
Yeah, I had both Evil and Elgin doing pretty respectable in this, around 10 to 12 points. That middle area.
Right.
I want to say I maybe had Elgin at 12 and Evil at 8, but I definitely did not expect Evil to win here. So this was a nice, pleasant surprise, and something I hope they touch on again, because if the title thing is in play, where you beat the champion in the G1 or in any tournament, you get a match with them, and if it is, this could be a really fun match to visit down the road.
Yeah, because we'll certainly see that later in the main event, that seems to be in play because they already had a previous title match. So it would seem logical that you do it with the IC title if you're going to do it with both the heavy and the never titles. So we'll see. I had Evil not doing that great and maybe just picking up a couple wins here and doing the big knockout special of Shibata later. But maybe he does do pretty well. And maybe they do a lot more parity booking in this block, than perhaps in the other block or something. And it seems that way again with you have Yuji Nagata and Tetsuya Naito, and Nagata beats the guy that we're all thinking is going to win here. Naito pretty much controlled a lot of this match, working on the leg and everything, and Nagata had to get hope spots, and then Nagata wins after basically 2 backdrops, and he got to hold the second one. What'd you think?
This was the first match of the night that I was kind of met on. It just sort of ends. And it feels like maybe if it had an extra 5 minutes or so, they would have built up to something, of at least what Elgin and Evil put on, if not better. And yeah, the 2 backdrops, and then Nagata just holds it, gets the pin, and that's sort of it. And not to mention, like, maybe, your draw is falling at Yoshihashi winning and Evil winning, but Nagata beating Naito, like, my jaw broke off and I probably flew out the window. Like, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, wow. I guess everybody is going to upset everyone on this show, and I would be correct in the main event as well, but it's like, I thought Naito did really well, actually, just working on the leg and everything, and then, it was going okay, but then, just like you said, right when I thought it was going to hit that second gear, that's when it ends, and it's like, oh, okay, well, at least we shouldn't have it go much longer, because it already kind of felt long, too. That was the thing. It kind of felt sometimes like they were going long, and maybe Nagata's not the guy to necessarily do that with, all of a sudden, because they were also, the crowd was heavily behind Naito, for the most part, and if they were trying to get people to get upset at what Naito was doing and try to go behind Nagata, they certainly were not doing that here. They gave Nagata a huge standing ovation afterwards, but certainly not during the match, which was, again, gives you that hope that maybe Geto's paying attention and noticing that Naito's getting those face chants.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to be so quick on the turnaround to turn him face. Because they're going to do a long burn on this Los Ingobernables thing, just because it's so hot, and even if they're just cool heels, that's just the better, Nagata, on the other hand, maybe you can't. I mean, this is the longest match, the G1 match, as it goes 15 minutes, but I mean, maybe he shouldn't go 15, but it certainly felt like they could have, and there were times where you could tell Nagata had lost a step here or there just because Naito, one, it might be at the best he's ever been, and two, is working a completely different style than what Nagata does. So, I mean, you have that mishmash there, but I don't think another 5 minutes would have hurt this personally.
Yeah, so we move on to the main event. Katsuri Shibata, your never openweight champion, against Tomoaki Akiyama, who just challenged him at the Casino Roadshow July 3rd, which we talked about on one of the regular W2M podcast episodes. And now they're facing off here again in their first match against each other, basically. And very similar to that match. Surprises me is this is the most we have ever seen Tomoaki Akiyama control a match. And it seemed like he was winning every exchange almost. And I think that might have taken away some of the luster of what you get from Tomoaki Akiyama. What do you think?
I mean, maybe. I think they what they did here was sort of similar to their match at Kazuna Road. Um, it was hard hitting. It was everything I think you sort of want it to be, but there's not a lot of drama or anything like that, especially at the Kazuna Road show, because you knew Shibata was going to win that one, right? This one, I mean, maybe if you had been watching so far and, you know, how upset, crazy those last 3 matches were, I'm sure by this point you're going, okay, Hanma's winning this one. And then he does. And I think that took the drama out of it again. But, I mean, 2 pile drivers and a Kokeshi's pretty definite. So
And that's what it seemed like for all of these matches. It was about making sure you get them definite wins.
Mhm.
And that kind of continued the theme here yeah, 2 Fire Thunders and that Kokeshi, and he'd already gotten a couple other Raku Kokeshis as well. Shibata was good here as well. Just, it's not that big time great main event that you would expect when you're talking about G1 shows. So
Right.
it kind of ends on a sort of maybe just okay, whatever note. And that's kind of how I felt sometimes. Same thing about the Nagata Naito match. It was good. It wasn't anything, totally stand out or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of good matches on this show, except for maybe the opener, but that's only because, you know, it's playing to a gimmick. But, I mean, everything else is good to great on this show. And I didn't mind the other matches either. I thought they were fine.
Yeah, so we get to basically, this is the first round of the Block B, so the ones that won, those are the ones that have 2 points, and the ones that lost, they don't have any right now. We'll see how it goes when we talk about it, and move on to Night 3, which again features the A Block going around, and they started off with Hiroyoshi Tenzan against Tama Tonga. I wish we had Tom on here to tell me about the newest getup of Tama Tonga with the dollar bills and the green face paint. What did you think of Tama Tonga, his new getup, and just the match here with the guy that's on the dream run of Hiroyoshi Tenzan?
Well, I mean, as you and if anybody else has listened to our New Japan shows, I'm a big Tama Tonga fan. I mean, I think he's doing anything and everything to get away from that camo look that has so much disdain on it from the Guerrillas of Destiny run. And something as wacky as this, you know, you get stuff like this where guys are trying to stand out and make an impression, and that's really all I feel like he's doing. I honestly don't mind it. Some of them are funny. This one I thought was kind of cool. I didn't like the last one as much, but you know, maybe he's calling out Okada, Rainmaker, and all that good stuff. So there's that. I thought this was a fine match, though. Tenzin and Tonga worked pretty well together, I think. And Tonga, you know, he couldn't get it to that next level, and he really needs to get to one of those matches where he can. But then again, he hasn't had the greatest opponents yet either. He's only had Makabe and Tenzin here. And Tenzin, of course, is on that miracle run, and I think he's playing to that very well. And, you know, having Kojima around ringside really helps keep the emotion up and people invested and all that good stuff. So, you know, hopefully Tonga improves later on in the series. And, you know, I'm still, you know, Tenzin's an interesting story to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Tonga has better opponents that he'll face once he gets past the 2 older gentlemen that he's had to face here. And he sold well for Tenzin. It's not like, he just was, sandbagging him or anything. He did he had that big flip over for the lariat, and I mean, so and he like I've said, he has some cool moves like the spin neck breaker off the hangman spin neck breaker, basically a hangman's crossroads. I can't speak right now. Is actually pretty cool, and he has some other ones, that he has the set to get together. It's just right now it's hard for him to get the crowd to care about what he does because of the previous stuff that's going on. And I thought Tenzin did a lot better to make him look good as well. So, Tenzin wins again. Having Kojima there just adds so much to the story. Kojima's look every time Tenzin looks like he's in trouble is is a sight to behold. I think just because he gives that perfect facial expression of "Oh my gosh, I'm worried about my
Mhm.
friend that I want to lose," and then he's super elated every time when he wins. So it's always a cool moment to see those two.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take any friend of mine screaming at me like Kojima does, giving me advice. Just telling you what to do in the loudest way possible is what Kojima's doing on the outside, and I love him for it.
Yeah, he does that also, and I still love the fact that we get a cozy lariat before he does the slam and the moonsault. I think that's pretty cool that he gives. That's like his setup now for that. And then after this, we get another big hoss battle between two Chaos members, Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroki Goto. Of course, Ishii coming in with that loss, and Goto coming in with 2 points. And Goto's going to find himself with 2 more points. The guy that was having such a bad year previous to this already with 4 points after he has one heck of a match here with Ishii. I don't think it was anywhere near as great as the G1 match last year, but this one had a different pace. I liked the way they did it. It's almost like they gassed themselves early and then they had to just do everything they could to do anything.
Hmm. Yeah, really empty the arsenals, as it were, to try to get some offense going to put the other guy away by the end. And I loved this match so well. They told a great story. The crowd was super into it by the end, just watching these exhausted, warriors essentially try to put the other one away. And Goto finally does with the GTR, but or the GRT or whatever the abbreviation is. But Jesus, I mean, Ishii, I love him so much. Maybe more so than Goto. The guy is so good. He's so under the radar in the best way possible. He's the guy you count on, I think, when you need somebody to have a great performance. And these guys went out there and just a bowling shoe ugly brawl at the beginning that turned into just an exhausted battle at the end. I loved this match. It was so good.
Yeah, and that's one of those things you have to sort of, because I saw a lot of people that were just kind of like, oh, this match wasn't really anything. And I think you have to sort of understand what's going on here is the whole, man, they're really exhausted. And Goto just happened to get more adrenaline and more flurry going right then when he's able to just, which I love that sort of variation of the Shouting Kai where he drops him on the knee instead of doing the full out clothesline. And then he gets 2 GTRs, which I thought was cool. And then he, again, definitively beats Ishii. So, Goto looking, you have a little faith in your boy Goto here that maybe this means something for him?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on night one, that he does have the story still going. He joined Chaos for a reason, and that is to get back on track and maybe finally accomplish, break through the glass ceiling and win that IWGP Heavyweight Championship, the one title he's really missing from his resume. And, God, what a come-from-behind story that would be if he can find a way to make it to that final and somehow win. I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah, it would be awesome for him just to at least get to live that moment again. And now you have the briefcase and see if you make it all the way to Wrestle Kingdom for him. But we move along to Pro Wrestling Noah's own Michi Murafuji, who won on night one, defeating the IWGP Heavyweight Champion in Kazuchika Okada. And then he takes on Bad Luck Fale. This match kind of got mixed reviews as far as, whether you care about Fale winning or not. And that's the thing, a lot of people don't realize Fale wins, and he beats big stars. I mean, he's beaten Tanahashi twice in a row now. How do you feel about him beating Murafuji here?
I know, much like you, I saw a lot of hate for this on there too, just because they like to yo-yo Fale around to he'll go on a run where he beats everybody and then he's suddenly nothing soon afterwards, and it kind of, I think the live crowds don't know really how to react to him, because I mean they react for the big stuff that he does, but it's not really anything sustaining, And I don't know exactly what the plan is for Marufuji, if he just happened to be the recipient of the upset bonanza that was night 1 and 2, going in and moving forward. But there would have been, I think maybe you generate a lot more interest for Marufuji going forward if you haven't beat Fale, who is a big guy. But it is what it is. Fale is going to get these kinds of wins during the G1, and I wouldn't be shocked if this isn't obviously going to be the last big win that he gets in this tournament.
Yeah, he usually always gets around like 8 or 10 points, so we can expect he's gonna get again around that number. I did really actually enjoy the match. I thought Marufuji did sort of everything he could to combat Fale. I mean, some of the counters that he did to something like the first time he counters a grenade, he just does that bicycle knee to the arm, and he did the big bad luck fall spot, which completely woke the crowd up. I mean, it seemed like everybody was like, "Oh my God, death happening," and they totally were into that after that. But I thought this was actually pretty good for being a Fale match, and not everybody sort of can work with him.
Right, and I think they played it smart here in the layout of the match. Marufuji, as you said, he uses a lot of counters that a lot of the other guys do, like Tanahashi and Okada against him, like you mentioned with the grenade, or lots of chops and sort of stuff to keep him off balance. So I mean, I think it all worked in the end. Like you said, the match isn't bad. It's just it depends, I think, on your opinion of Fale. If you're okay with them getting these big wins during the G1 time, then you could probably move on. But for people who I think are expecting something more, I wouldn't get your hopes up.
Yeah, and I think people might have been expecting a tad more from this Kazuchika Okada Sonata match after they had, I would say, a great match. Was it in Taku?
I believe it was Dungtaku. It might have been one of the Road 2 shows, too.
Could have been. It was around that time for the two of them. And this is their just second meeting ever here in this in New Japan. And so, after they had that first match, T-Works expecting, okay, this is going to be even better. And now we have Okada, Sonata. Once again, it seemed like, okay, we're not going to totally tear it up, but you still got something really good here. And of course, Okada is the master at this point. Is there anybody better at the closing stretch than Okada?
Maybe AJ Styles. But that's a short list. And I picked Sonata for another upset here. But maybe this is right. I mean, the story now is Sonata, he's better than Tanahashi. He's not better than Okada. And he still got more than his fair share of offense against Okada. And obviously this isn't done by any stretch of the imagination. But man, whenever Sonata gets that win, it's going to be so great.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're building up to that. Again, the same thing like they're sort of building up to this Yoshihashi match with him. It's just when he starts getting these string of wins, he's going to look... I mean, he looked really good in this match. Like that backflip drop kick that he does, it's like it's unnecessary, but because he's so good, he can do it. You know, and he is very similar to Okada, and just having that athleticism and knowing when to use it, and picking the correct times to really showcase something, and he did that here, and I thought that, again, these two just work so well together. The Cold Skull, Tombstone, Cold Skull counter thing was cool. I definitely think you might... It runs on Ishii Goto, depends on kind of what you like, but equally just as good as that match, I think, as far as match of the night or whatever for these two.
For sure, and I think in that same way that Ishii and Goto both have a similar approach to their wrestling styles, I think Sonata and Okada both do. They're both very cerebral. They both seem to like to have a plan going into the match and sort of, I don't want to say plotted out, but it certainly feels like everything is very well plotted out as they're going along, and even they're probably thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead of where they are currently in the ring, and I think that's why they work so well together.
Yeah, and now we go on to the main event of Hiroshi Tanahashi against Togi Makabe. These two wrestled in last year's G1, and it was pretty okay. I remember the thing here is you get the big surprise of Makabe winning once again, so now he's 2-0, and Tanahashi is 0-2. I thought they just kind of they battled everywhere. It's just a big battle between two guys, sort of countering each other, and you build up to the big spider suplex spot. That's sort of like once you get there, it's really hard to get Makabe to be able to counter out of that and get out of that spider suplex situation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, going into this, I was scratching my head as to why this was the main event, and by the end of it, I was still wondering why this was the main event. Because other than that Spider German spot on Tanahashi, who really probably shouldn't be taking that spot at this moment in time, the match is sort of flat. Like, you have the brawls everywhere and whatever, but, I mean, it's sort of, I don't want to say they mailed it in, but it's sort of, it doesn't have that main event feel to it, you know?
No, it certainly doesn't. It was, again, it's sort of like the Hanma and Shibata, like just, okay, you ended on a whimper instead of ending on a big close. And so it's like 2 nights of G1 that was like, okay, you had some good stuff, you had some borderline great stuff in here, and then most of it was just kind of sprinkled with some good stuff. And so, you know, that's your 2 middle shows now, 2 and 3. And now with the A block, you got Makabe and Goto with 4 points.
And Tenzan.
And Tenzan, yeah. So, some of the older guard a bit winning more here. And then everybody else is kind of mixed in with that too. What do you think of the standings so far there in that A block?
If we're looking at my pick'em, this is absolutely wrong. I didn't have Goto winning this much. I definitely didn't have. I had Tenzan at 1-1 at this point. I think I had Makabe at 1-1 at this point too. I do have Tanahashi losing a lot more, just because I feel like the story going forward is that injury is going to keep plaguing him. Like, I don't think he's beating Fale, for example. And honest to God, I don't think I'll be surprised if Marufuji beats him either.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if. I think I had him losing to Fale for sure. The Marufuji one would be interesting, certainly. Just, I think they're prepping him for this big, like, he's going to make a big run at the end sort of thing. He'll lose a little bit more up front. I think he certainly gets his first win on Night 5 against Tamatanga, but then after that, you know, it's going to be fun to see what they do with Tanahashi exactly, and where some of these guys that are undefeated right now, when they lose, you know.
Right. Tenzan especially. What is the relationship between Tenzan and Kojima turn into when he finally loses a match?
Yeah, that's something that'll be interesting too. And then I think Tanahashi and Tenzan have a late match with each other as well. So that's.
Isn't that a main event?
Yeah, I think that is a main event.
Yeah, so I mean,
I think it's like
there's great stuff in
night 15. Them going at each other. So.
Man.
Phew.
Night 15. Yeah. What have we done to ourselves, Sean?
Well, that concludes our look at 2 and 3. We will be back this following day here, Monday night, Tuesday morning, with the look at nights 4 and 5. Of course, night 5 happening in about 2 hours and 30 minutes. It starts live, and we'll be down there to review. And of course, if you like other things besides just, you know, New Japan, or you like other kinds of Japanese wrestling, we'll be doing on our regular Wrestle to the Max episode 205 part 1, somewhere in there, we'll be doing Dragon Gate's Kobe World, and perhaps Mr. Tom Reese will be joining us for that as well. So, you know, we didn't get to have him on here because we just did this right after we did the Battleground review. So it's like, it was 2 in the morning, somewhere around there when we started, and, you know, he fell asleep. Which I don't blame him. He's been waiting for us, and I kind of forgot to keep him awake. But, you know, thank you for listening, for for all of you, and thank you. Hopefully, you'll keep joining us for these G1 breakdowns, and of course, check out the regular episodes if you care about WWE at all. We talk about Raw, we talk about SmackDown, NXT, the Cruiserweight Classic, Lucha Underground's done for however long it's done, TNA, all that stuff. So you have a show that you like, we're usually talking about it somewhere in there. Anything you want to say, Paul, before we get out of here?
Yeah, this week there's a whole lot of good television coming your way that we're going to talk about, and yeah, I mean, listen to the regular shows for sure. These extras are going to keep coming, and hopefully I'll be along for the ride more often than not this go around, so it's not Sean doing shows by himself. So yeah, well, just keep on listening. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, really. It is. It seems like a new promotion every day is saying they have a subscription service. So
Yeah, certainly. Can't wait to hear more about all these other. Who knows? Some of these Japanese promotions start having subscription services, and of course that Real Hero Archive is out there, and they keep putting stuff up there. I mean, my God, now he's putting up old New Japan and old shows from like the '90s. My gosh.
they recently just started a whole thing dedicated to All Japan. Which is insane because they supposedly have over like 7,000 different things for that. So, absolutely incredible work those guys are doing over there. They're my heroes, Sean. I don't know about you.
Yes, they're certainly my heroes too. Of course, you can go join that Classic Japanese Wrestling Facebook group and talk to them in person as well. Those two are great guys. But all right, we're gonna close it here. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one, guys.
Later.